discrimination in housing and bus segregation. But of course, the 1964 Civil Rights Act was quite different in the sense that it was much more comprehensive, much more sweeping in scope, dealing not only with voting, but dealing with public accommodations, public facilities, education, employment opportunities. And the 1964 Civil Rights Act also enhanced the powers of the Civil Rights Commission that had been created earlier, and also created the Equal Opportunity Commission. So you're talking about a much more comprehensive bill when you talk about the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
Well, you know, Dr. Baldwin, you talked about all of these Civil Rights Acts, and I think one question has to be, why couldn't we get it straight? It seems to me that we started in 1866, and as late as 1964, we are still trying to get it straight. I mean, what seemed to have been the problem in terms of dealing with civil rights in this country?
I think the major problem has been the lack of implementation, and also the lack of resources to make sure that the guidelines of these bills are implemented once they are introduced and passed. So I think that has been our major problem, the lack of implementation, also the failure to provide the kind of resources needed to make sure that the provisions of these Civil Rights Acts are really translated into daily public life.
And so in a real sense, you think that the Act in 1964, as we will talk about when we come back following our first commercial break, that the Act of 1964 really is the most comprehensive act of all of those other acts passed.
Of all civil rights legislation passed in history, up to that point.
Up to that point, okay. And of course, let us make preparation for this first commercial break, and then we'll get back and we'll talk specifically about the Act in 1964. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. The topic is the Civil Rights